Holy cannoli, we are halfway through the year, so it is time for a Halftime Huddle. Welcome to the TheUpside Podcast, where we help you get unstuck in life and business by elevating your thinking and provoking meaningful change from the inside out. As I sit here and record this, it is it's May the 26th, and this episode is going to air, though, right at the end of Q2. Halfway through 2026. I truly cannot believe it. And I'm sure everybody's idea of time is going to feel different on this. For some of you, you're going to think, I cannot believe this year has flown by. And for some of you, it may feel like the longest year of your life so far. But either way, regardless of how we feel about it, the reality is we're halfway done. We are halfway through 2026, which technically means we should be at least halfway to our goals for the year. We should be making meaningful progress so that we finish the end of 2026 strong. So I want to encourage you today to pull back out, and hopefully you're reviewing these on a regular basis, but I know human behavior tends to be that we make these goals, we make these intentions for the year, and often we don't look at them nearly as much as we should. It's time to pull those out and to really do an assessment on where we're at. Some of you might be crushing it. You may be having the absolute best year in your business in 2026. And if that is you, I just want to tell you, keep going. Congratulations, keep going. You may be accomplishing things in your personal life and things that you wanted to do in your finances or in your health, and you are crushing it. And if that is you, just keep going. Keep going. Do not take your foot off the gas. Investigate your wins and see why you're there. I know some of you that are listening, though, are not where you want to be. You're looking at this halfway through the year and thinking, uh-oh, I'm behind. I'm not where I want to be at July 1st of 2026. I'm not on pace to hit the goals that I set at the year. If that is you, I really want you in particular to listen up, okay? So here's what halftime is about. Halftime is about honesty. It's about reflection, and it's about really interrogating the scoreboard. Some of the greatest wins in history went into halftime with a terrible scoreboard. So there is the famous Super Bowl 51 of the Patriots versus the Falcons. And this is the one where they, spoiler alert, came back and won in overtime. But they went into that halftime room, Tom Brady, or the locker room, right? And they were behind 21-3. Massive deficit, no momentum on their side. Nothing was going right. And they came back into third quarter, and guess what happened? The Falcons scored again. So it went 28-3. And yet somehow, because of the changes that they made one step at a time, they gradually changed their momentum and ended up coming back as the Super Bowl champions. So realize no matter where you're at halftime, you still have time to affect the end result. So some people use halftime to make excuses. Let me just tell you, this is not your chance to throw in the towel. Do not say, you know what, it's not going to be a great year. I'm just going to say, forget it, and I'm going to start over next year. No, absolutely not. Now is the time to double down on what you said back in January mattered to you. Winners use halftime to make adjustments. It's not just about a motivational halftime speech, get your head in the game. It's about what adjustments do I need to make in my business, in my life, to get back on track, to start creating momentum, and to change the tide. The scoreboard tells you where you are, but it does not tell you where you're going to finish. Okay, so number one thing I want you to do right now is I want you to get super honest about your scoreboard. And I'm not just talking about the big numbers. So if we're looking at your business, it's not just, let's say in real estate, your closings and your GCI, your gross commission income. Those are the numbers that tell the result, but also looking at the scoreboard is all of those lead indicators that are going to show you why those numbers are there, right? So in football, you're looking at passing yards, you're looking at rushing yards, you're looking at tackles, you're looking at turnovers, you're looking at all of those other things. You're interrogating the numbers of the scoreboard. In your business, that's the contacts that you're making. That is the appointments that you're setting. That's the conversion rates from appointment to signed agreements. That's signed agreements to contracts and contracts to closing, let's just say in real estate. So you're looking at every metric of your business and really getting honest about the scoreboard. Because if the final score that you have on there, the big score that you have on there is not where you want it, the problem is not in that number. The problem is in something we're doing leading up to it. So to be an accountable person, it just means to give an account. And when we give an account for our actions, numbers are a huge piece of that because numbers are not emotional. I know we think, oh, I don't want to talk about my numbers. That feels bad. Well, guess what? Numbers are not good or bad. Numbers are not right or wrong. I could say 1,000. Well, is 1,000 a good number or a bad number? I don't know. It depends on what we're talking about. If you want to give me $1,000 right now, I would say that's great. If I weigh 1,000 pounds, I would say that's probably not great. So numbers are not in and of themselves good or bad, right or wrong, and they should be non-emotional because the numbers are there to tell the story of our actions and how they're achieving our results. So numbers keep us out of blame and out of victimhood. Remember, we can blame everything on the market, but the truth is, if somebody is winning in this market, there is a way for it to be done. And so by looking at our numbers, not just at the scoreboard, but of all of the metrics that get us to that score, and that enables us to be honest and reflective about what we need to shift and do differently. If we don't look at those, we can't possibly know the adjustments that we need to make. So halftime is for adjustments, not for excuses. Denial never creates momentum, but honesty does. So we have to start with being honest. What is it that we need to adjust to get to the result that we want? You've got to look at your numbers. And then what I would suggest that you do is to have a huddle with yourself, meaning a halftime huddle. So this could be taking an entire day to really reflect on your goals and your strategy. Take a day out of the office or in a different place than you normally do, where you can take a notebook, a pen, a computer without your email, without being responsive or reactive, and really look at what's happening in your business, in your life, in relationship to your goals, and have a day of strategy. If you can't take a full day, take half a day. If you can't take half a day, take a morning, take a couple hours, but by golly, take something. It is worth it to have a huddle with yourself to get momentum back for the second half of the year. So I want to give you some reflection questions that you can ask yourself, and I'll send these out in Thursday's subscriber email. So if you're not subscribed at theresaflood.com, be sure to do that, and I'll send these out so you don't have to take notes. But the first thing I want you to ask is, what worked? Where did I win the first half of this year? And this is probably one of the most important questions because often we focus on what didn't go well or where our challenges or where our problem is. I promise you're winning in something. And if you would just double down on where you're winning and figure out what that needs to look like to create more momentum for the second half, you're probably going to love life a whole lot more. So for instance, if let's say you're in real estate and you're doing open houses and you have successful open houses every week, you're growing your pipeline that way, what does it look like to double the amount of open houses that you do in the second half of the year? Instead of adding in a completely new lead generation activity that you're going to have to create momentum with and learn and all of those things, how do you double down on where you are winning? Whatever it is in that goal, get really specific. One of the worst things somebody can say is when you say, wow, how did you have such a great month? Or how did you have such a great year? How did you accomplish this amazing goal? And they say, I don't really know. It just kind of happened. Well, you can't duplicate it if you don't know how it happened. So really look and interrogate your wins. You're going to do this by looking specifically at your numbers. This is not a feeling conversation. This is a reality conversation. And then you want to look at what didn't work. And if you had activities or things that is not working in your business or towards your goals, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to abandon them, although sometimes it does. So getting clarity on, is this something that I need to shift? Is it that my skill set is not strong in it? Do I need to learn something? Do I need to tweak something? Do I need to let this go because this is not a good use of my time? Or have I just not been doing it consistent enough to get the results? And that goes into the next thing. Asking, where did you lose momentum? Momentum feels great. When you have momentum, you definitely know you have it. If you're like, I don't know if I'm in momentum or not, then you're not, okay? Like, you've been there before. When you're in momentum, you can feel it, and it feels awesome to be in momentum. So if you've lost momentum or never had it this year, then I want you to ask what habits have slipped. Because the only way we get to momentum in anything is through consistency. It's through through intensity, but it has to be consistent. You cannot have bursts of intensity and create momentum. It has to be over time with that kind of consistency. And so typically what happens, we're doing really, really great with something. We've added a new habit in, and then we take our foot off the gas. We lose that consistency. We lose that momentum. And once we lose it, it's really, really hard to get back. So when you're looking at what isn't going well, what you're struggling with, before you just ditch it or say, oh, that method doesn't work, counting calories doesn't work. Well, no, it doesn't work if we do it twice a week. So what is not working, and have I been 100% consistent in what I said I would do? The next question I want you to ask is, what numbers are you avoiding? And this is really where the rubber meets the road of personal accountability, because when we are honest with ourselves, oftentimes the numbers we're avoiding is the activities that we don't want to do. And the activities we don't want to do, the hard things, the uncomfortable things, are the things that are really going to move the needle and push us forward. So what numbers are you avoiding? The next question is where do you need to get honest? Where are you lying to yourself? It's interesting because I have been a little bit frustrated lately with some of my workout routines and my nutrition and all of that. And yet, if I'm really, really honest, and there's a reason. I have chosen this because the girls have been so busy over the last 2 weeks. I have eaten more fast food in the last 2 months than I have probably in a decade. It's crazy. And yet I wonder why I'm feeling like I've gained weight and feeling a little bit frustrated with that. Well, guess what? My choices are different. If I'm completely honest, I'm doing different things than I did before, and I'm expecting the same results. Well, that's just pure insanity. And so where do I need to get honest with myself? Where you need to get honest with yourself. And then what is the adjustment that you need to make for the second half? And here's the thing. It probably is not 15 adjustments. If you're making 15 adjustments, you're never going to know what works. Tommy gives me a hard time because I'll start a new vitamin regimen and I'll add 3 different supplements in at the same time. And he's like, you're never going to know what's working or what's making a difference. And guess what? Don't tell him I said this, but he is not wrong. That is correct. If we're making so many adjustments at one time, we don't actually see what is working. So determine what is the most important adjustment that you need to make. And my guess is you know already what it is. It's not complicated. It's simple. It probably has to do with your 20% activities that you don't want to do that you know you need to get consistent with. And if you're being completely honest with yourself, that is going to make the major difference in the second half of your year. So again, you have the opportunity to completely shift 2026 if you're not where you want to be. You can still have your best year yet. It is not too late. Do not throw in the towel. Do not give up. And remember, everything that you're building right now also sets you up for major growth in 2027. Because we build one step at a time and we build it one level upon one level. So stay encouraged, stay in the game. Even though summer can be a little bit crazy, both in business and in personal life, I just want to encourage you, keep your head in the game. We are not done yet, and you absolutely have got this. And remember, when you are investing in your personal growth every single day, it's going to yield you great returns. And as always, thank you for being an Upsider, and we will see you next week.